The Academy Awards. A night of magic. A night of glamour. But most importantly, and above all, a night of unhealthy self-absorption.
You like me!
Yeah, let's be real. The Academy Awards is a night, really, for celebrities to, well, celebrate each other for being celebrities.
That sounds awful.
However, the Academy Awards serve another purpose, a purpose that I personally enjoy and try to focus on when it comes to the event. I feel the Academy Awards are a time for film appreciation. The winner is kind of more or less beside the point for me.
And the Oscar goes to...
I don't care.
These films are nominated for Best Picture. They've already won in my book. So let's take a look at these films nominated for Best Picture and talk about why they should win Best Picture. Hello everybody, welcome to Film Fireside. This is my special guest.
Hi.
She's the one I mentioned in the last video that you would have seen last night if you watched it. So go watch it if you didn't watch it.
I haven't even watched it yet, I'm sorry.
Well, technically it's not posted,
Okay,
but at
that's
the time we're filming this.
I'm
I'm talking to the us and yous of the future.
To the future!
This is the last film we'll be talking about on the Why It Should Win series that I'm doing. And I brought this special guest here because we both really like this movie. We talk about it a lot. There's a lot of analytical points we both have in regards to this film, and I just wanted to just bring you on because I like talking about it. So I'll just pass it on to you. Tell me your thoughts.
A few things. So this one and probably Sound of Metal were probably my two favorite of the Best Picture.
Oh, I didn't know that about Sound of Metal.
I took sign language.
Right.
So
that makes sense.
I really liked that one because I was able to understand a lot of it.
Yeah.
One of the reasons I like this one is because I feel like a lot of the problems I have with women power movies is that they make it so, we've talked about this before, where they make it too hey look, it's women because you're oppressed and we're trying to make you feel better, so here's some women for you so that you don't feel so bad. They're there. And I hate that because then I feel like I'm being spoon-fed look, we're making you feel better that you're a woman now. And I feel like that's a big problem with a lot of movies that they've replaced with women. I don't mind them, but I feel like they make it too, look, it's a woman.
Well, I like the pat on the head thing. It's very
feel,
insulting.
Yeah, I feel insulted when they're look, it's all women because that's unique to have all women. It's why don't we just have it be all women and not say anything about it? And so I can be wow, that was all women. That's really cool.
I saw a thread, if I may interrupt real quick, that was men seem to interpret we want strong, powerful females as we want strong, kick-butt females, or we want females who act like men or take over.
Yes, or take male roles.
Male roles
and
from
that's
film.
not it at all.
And no one wants that.
No one asked for that.
No one asked for that. They just want good characters, good, well-written characters, like in Promising Young Woman.
Yes. Which is one of the reasons I like this movie. So that was one of the main things I liked about it, is that it was women empowering without saying it's women empowering. Because it was just a strong character, and she had a really good motivation behind everything that she did.
Yeah.
And you were behind her, even when she did some stuff that you're I'm a little that seems a little much, but you understand her motivation because she's pissed and she has a good reason to be pissed.
Yeah.
So I really just liked her character. I liked the story for that reason. My favorite part of the entire movie that just told me I was going to love this movie right from the bat was the beginning sequence where they just, you know how in so many movies it starts with at a club and it just zooms in on all the girls skirts as they're dancing and oh, so cute. It just perfectly flipped that script without saying a word and did the same thing to men in work outfits. And you're this is so ridiculous. It's so great. Because it's so ridiculous when they do that with girls in a club where they're wow, look at this party. Let's just focus on their butt. And it's why? And so the fact that they did it to men just made you be yeah, why do they do that? How is that not objectifying women?
It's absolutely objectifying women. Our society normalizes when it's done to women so much that we don't even think about it. Almost, you know what I mean? So that scene happens, and it's not until you blatantly put a bunch of dudes into that scenario that you go,
that's weird.
that looks weird. That's really weird. And it's so, it's a lot of that kind of systemic just female misogyny that just kind of exists, especially within film. Which brings me to a point I wanted to talk to you about. Can you hear our daughter?
Penny is watching
She's like, yes.
a show about seasons, and she's very excited about it.
Yes, but we have it on mute though, so she's filling in the sound for herself.
Do you like
She's
it,
very
baby?
good at it. Yeah, so that's actually something I wanted to... That's an analytical point that I've thought about. I don't know if we've actually talked about this one yet. Is I think this film is not an attack, but it is a commentary or critique on, I think, romantic comedies, even just kind of comedy films in general, because a lot of these things of our society were born in like 70s, 80s, just these casual films where, oh, we'll just throw in women and they play the role of romantic love interest or sex object, or, you know what I mean? Like there's always things like that. And in fact, I read somewhere, I haven't seen this interview with Emerald Fennell, but Emerald Fennell apparently mentioned that when she was casting the men in this film, she specifically tried to get men who have been in a romantic comedy or who are like kind of teen heartthrobs.
That's interesting.
Or who have been in a comedy where like she feels like that film kind of is part of the problem.
Well, think about how every single man in that movie looks exactly the same.
Oh, really? Tell me more about that.
Well, they all just have like the classic nice guy look.
Yes, the nice
Brown
guy
hair,
look.
clean cut, shaved, doctor. Like most of the men in that movie look exactly the same.
Yeah, that's actually a good point.
There's maybe like 2 or 3 that look slightly different, but even then they have the same look of clean cut, businessman, whatever.
Yeah.
But it's interesting.
It is very interesting.
And intentional, I'm sure.
Yes, absolutely. Here's an example of the whole casting thing. I don't remember this actor's name, but McLovin from Superbad. That film is entirely about Jonah Hill and Michael Cera doing sketchy things to try and get laid. Which is, it's just a commentary on the fact that, oh, but we think that's funny. You know what I mean? And it's interesting to see dudes in this movie. Dudes, why did I call them dudes? See dudes in this.
Guys being dudes.
All the guys and the dudes in this movie. Now, see, it's interesting to see men in this movie who are maybe supposed to represent growing up with films like that or with influences like that have just made it so, oh, no, this is like normal. You pick up a girl who's drunk at the club, no one has to question you on that. No one.
They're being nice. They're being nice. They're taking her home.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm just taking her home. I'm just going to invite her over for a drink. I'm just being nice.
Mm-hmm.
That's
And so it's just so cool to then, totally, again, flip the script and just be like, observe what you're doing right now. Stop and just let's just be aware of what's happening right now. An awareness to the situation is amazing, you know?
I think the other thing that I like about this is this tells us what women want in response to if a man does mess up. Because, because in most cases, like, if you were like, hey, you treated me in a way that I felt was really inappropriate, what you would want the man to be like is like, oh my gosh, I'm so sorry. Are you okay? What can I do to like make you feel safe? What is like all this stuff? In this movie, what she'll be like, oh, you did this, and they're like, hey, no, I'm a nice guy, okay? I didn't.
They won't accept it.
And they don't want to accept the blame. They don't want to accept that they did something wrong, that they were taking advantage of someone. And that's what's wrong.
Yeah.
Because the problem is not that, like, well, obviously we don't want men to take advantage of women.
To do it at all is definitely a problem.
Yeah,
but
that is a problem. But when it does happen, if men own up to it, then that changes it completely. Then, well, I just know I'm a nice guy. And just completely reflecting all blame onto the woman for, like...
Yeah.
Yeah, well, you were there, and you shouldn't have done that. You were drunk, so I.
Yeah, why were you at this club by yourself? You shouldn't have come to the club by yourself.
Yeah, so I was just being a nice guy. I'm just being a nice guy. No, you weren't. You were not being a nice guy, and stop trying to say that you were, because you weren't.
What's interesting about this too, so I like that you caught that as well, because I didn't catch this until later. I read something about this. The only man who does that is the lawyer, who was Cassie's prosecuting attorney. He's the one where he like gives her a genuinely heartfelt apology, and she's like,
I forgive you.
Oh.
And she's like, thank you.
Thank you, I forgive you.
I needed that, yeah.
That's all I wanted. You know what I mean? And because I think it is like that simple, and because I think the problem is like there seems to be this debate on like well, should women be at the club drunk? Should men do that? Like, that's, I don't think that debate needs to exist. If any woman brings up this issue, whether or not you interpreted it as a problem, if they're bringing that issue to your attention, were made uncomfortable, you should take responsibility and help with
or
that.
at
You know
least
what I mean?
listen. And
At least
be like,
listen. Yeah.
Well, how can we help you feel
Yeah. What
like,
can
safe?
let's talk
'Cause
about boundaries here. You know
the
what I
other
mean?
thing that's so frustrating is I can't remember the name of her boyfriend in the movie. I don't remember any names.
Bo
in
Burnham's the actor.
Bo Burnham's character. Throughout the entire movie, you're like rooting for him because he's like, okay, yeah, we can take it slow. Like we can. I'm listening to you, but as soon as she's like, you're in this video, I'm a nice guy.
Defenses up, walls up.
He says I'm a nice guy, and that's the thing that breaks it. Where if he was like, I'm so sorry, and like tried to like help her, try to fix the situation, then it may have been a different ending to the story.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, but the entire movie, you're like, oh yeah, he's listening, but it's the second that he stops listening that you're like, dude, you totally messed up. You know you did. Own up to that you messed up, and move on. Help her fix the problem.
Yeah, totally.
So that part was just so sad because the entire movie you're rooting for him to be like, yay, finally a good guy.
Well, another thing about that, I was suspicious of him the entire time. I'm not gonna lie, through the movie. I mentioned this to you, but I'll say why. They go on their first date, and he is like, oh well, pulls the, hey, we happen to be at my apartment
right here
thing, and I was like, whoa, hold on, red flag. Why did you do that? I actually thought about that. How we in our dating, we had conversations about boundaries right off the bat because
that should be with every relationship ever.
Well, and that's the thing.
That's
the point I'm making is like there seems to be a lack of talking about boundaries when it comes to like when you're sexually active, because you don't want to kill the mood. You don't like therefore I don't know you
don't want to stop and communicate and be like, hey, where do you feel safe? And this is in any relationship, whether it's like. Yeah, whatever you're doing, even if you're just kissing. Yeah. You should stop and be like, where are you comfortable?
Yeah, exactly.
And that's not seen as like hot.
Yeah, that's the point I'm making. That's not
seen as like exciting, because what's exciting is like, oh, the passion, and you just get taken up in it.
Right.
And that doesn't work. Not a lot of the time. Like that doesn't work every single time, because people have had things happen to them where they have traumas that come up and they're like, hey, I'm not safe with this. I'm sorry. I'm going to need some time to like trust you and make sure that I feel safe with you. And I have friends that have had to go through that, and they married people that are completely awesome because they totally listened to them. We're like, okay, yeah, I will listen. I'm making sure that you feel safe.
Yeah.
So it's those people exist. But it's not the norm, which is stupid.
Yeah,
it should be.
And I think that's the thing about this film too, is there's a norm of like when you're sexually active that exists that needs to not be that way. And one of the things is like the one night stand thing, you know what I mean? Like that's not okay. That should never be okay. Like I don't know. And it's hard. The thing that's hard about this is you don't want to be judgmental of people who like are very sexually active, and you know you don't want to be judgmental of that. You don't want to criticize that and unnecessarily. However, we need to just shift the culture of our society where boundaries are just discussed, and like that's part of the process. There's like no questions asked. Every man in the world needs to know, hey, before I do anything, before I even approach with anything, we need to set some boundaries so that way there are no problems whatsoever. You know what I mean?
And listen to a woman when she says no.
Yeah.
And when she says I'm uncomfortable.
And that's the other thing too, because you can be fine with it one night, but then the next night, if she's not fine with it, doesn't matter.
Doesn't matter.
Doesn't matter. Floor. You gotta say, okay, done. Yep. Doesn't matter.
One of the things, she says no when she's like getting like taken from bars most of the time. Like in the first scene. In the first scene when she's super drunk.
Drop you off.
No.
It's totally fine. It's not a problem, really.
No.
What are you gonna do? It's fine. Come on. It's not a problem.
She's saying no. It
What's
doesn't
cool
matter
about
if
that,
she's super drunk. She's saying no.
What's cool about that is a lot of guys could be like, oh, she was drunk.
She didn't know what she wanted.
She didn't know what she wanted.
She was drunk.
Doesn't matter. She said no. She said no.
Yeah.
Like that's
it. That's it. End of discussion.
So here's something, here's a little thing. I can't remember if I mentioned this in my review or not. I think I was going to, but I was getting too analytical and I wanted to wait and talk about it with you. But one thing about this, let's talk about like the end. I caught this the second time when I was watching it with you, and I thought about it later. How again this film does. I think this film critiques two things. It critiques just the films that have led us to think certain things are okay, like romantic comedies and whatnot. Oh, I'm putting a pin in that because I didn't finish my thought there. Pin in the romantic comedy thing. And it also critiques just our social norms in regards to being sexually active and
or dating
and you know, it critiques these things. So when she has Al Monroe handcuffed to the bed and everything, and she's like confronting him about that night, he at one point says, we were all drunk, and it made me realize a ridiculous contradiction that exists.
Oh yeah.
Because like when women, a lot of times they're at the question asked to be like, okay, well, was it really?
Were you drunk?
Were you drinking?
Yeah.
And then it's like, oh, well, yeah, I was. And you go, see, you can't. If you were drinking, you know, you can't. Sometimes you make
your judgment was impaired.
You make mistakes and this and this. If women aren't allowed to like pull the drunk card, men shouldn't be either. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because why is it when sexual assault happens, if the man was like, oh, well, see, I was really drunk, I don't really remember, why aren't we going to the men being like, well, see, you can't drink then. If you think you're going to be in a situation that's like risky. Oh, yeah, Penny?
Oh, it's on Sesame Street now.
She loves Elmo.
She sees Elmo and she's like, Elmo!
Elmo's the best. If a sexual harassment case is in play, when discussing the man, whether or not they're drunk is for some reason a minute point. They don't care. We don't care to know whether or not he was drunk because he's not responsible. He doesn't have to face responsibility for it for whatever reason within our world. You know, that's
because he was drunk. But if a woman was drunk, she has to face the responsibility of
she has to face up the actions. It's like, well, you made the choice to get drunk, therefore, yeah, that's the thing I was getting to.
Yes.
Like women are criticized even in the choice to get drunk. Why aren't men criticizing that choice? If men are particularly touchy-feely and
specifically in college. Well, boys drinking in college is normal, but if a girl's drinking in college, then like, you need to be more safe than that.
You be more safe. You can't just go get drunk one night.
And this is coming from people that don't drink.
Yeah, this is coming from people who have never been drunk before.
I've never drunk in my entire life.
We don't want to judge people for the act of drinking, you know what I mean? Especially hold them accountable for something that has nothing to do with it, or shouldn't have anything to do with it, you know what I mean? So that's something dumb about our society that comes. Oh, I remember. Another thing I saw, I need to go, maybe I can find some clips here. I'm filming this without having seen these interviews. I've just kind of read Emerald Fennell's quotes from said interviews. But I think Emerald Fennell says something along the lines of, anything that is physically shown on camera, you've seen in a romantic comedy before.
Oh, really?
Like you've seen happen in a romantic comedy. And it's been like, oh, whatever. So she very specifically wanted to make, again, a critique on the fact that this culture exists also just from films that normalize, make it casual. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. One film that I hate is The Breakfast Club. I hate The Breakfast Club. Have you seen The Breakfast Club?
A long time ago.
I've seen it again. Don't do it. Yeah, I hate The Breakfast Club for many reasons. I actually think it's a bad movie, but the end, I don't even remember the character's name, the bad boy dude, treats this woman like garbage. Is it Molly Ringwald who's in The Breakfast Club?
I don't know.
Who's in The Breakfast Club? I need to look that up real quick.
Right. Don't even get me started on the kissing booth.
Get started on the kissing booth while I look this up.
It romanticizes abusive relationships in teenagers. Mm-hmm. Are you kidding me?
Oh, yeah. Don't
watch the kissing booth, and don't let your teenagers watch that and be like, wow, what a cute movie. If you watch it with your teenager, be like, hey, this is what a bad relationship looks like.
This is what abuse looks like?
I was appalled that entire movie because everyone's like, it's so cute. And I was watching it and I was like, this is not safe.
He is emotionally abusive to her.
So
he is insanely manipulative.
Don't normalize that. No.
But he's a frustrated man, and he's just
a bad boy
it's
trying
hard
to
to
find
understand.
himself.
He has a soft side, and he's a bad boy. He's mostly a dick with kind of a soft side. No, that's not okay.
No, not okay.
It is Molly Ringwald. I could have just kept going and not gone off on that tangent. The main character in Breakfast Club treats Molly Ringwald just terribly. And then out of nowhere, it's at the end of the movie and they're like kissing and it's like, oh, they ended up together. Like
They're fine.
they were not. That's very similar. Like that was not going to be a healthy relationship at all. No one should be rooting for that relationship to work because he was an awful person. The entire film, by the way, he has no redeeming qualities. I hate this character throughout the entire film. But they're kissing at the end and he walks on the football field and does that stupid thing. And it's all fine. Anything else with this?
The ending of the movie.
Okay.
So, the friend.
Nick
Is
from
it-
New Girl.
yeah.
I don't remember his name. I don't know the actor's
Is
name.
it Nick?
Oh, no,
New
it's
Girl?
Schmidt from New Girl.
Schmidt from New Girl. He does a great job of being the enabler. Because Al messes up, literally kills her. And you can tell that he's like, oh, shoot. Like, because he knows that he messed up in the past.
Oh, yeah.
He gave himself excuses his entire life. And then he kills her, and his friend comes in, and it's just like, dude, like, what did you do with the stripper? Like, what the heck? And
real quick, may I put a plug there?
Yeah.
That's actually a reference to a film from the 1990s because he says at one point,
You killed the stripper at your bachelor party? What is this, the 90s? Al, classic.
it's from a film called, because I don't know what it's called. That was where the movie poster is going to come in. Insert movie poster.
so he comes in, they start like talking, and Al's freaking out, and then I can't remember exactly what he says, but he's just like,
Okay. Hey, Al, this is not your fault.
I don't know, it kind of seems like it is.
which tells me that when Al messed up in the past, what actually happened was he knew that he did something wrong, and his friends made excuses for him, and
Yeah.
were like, no, dude, it's fine. It's literally fine. She was drunk. So sometimes it's not as much the man, because he knows that he's guilty.
Yeah,
And
very
I'm
much
sure
so.
that he feels that every day of his life. But his friends tell him to not worry about it.
Mm-hmm.
And that's not what real friends do. Because there's the whole, like, if you killed a man, I'd bury the body with you. That's like the whole, like, friend thing that they do. And
that's
they
what
do
they're
that.
commentating on.
Yeah, and they do that, and you're like, this isn't right.
Yeah.
If he was really his friend, he wouldn't enable him to do that. And then at the very end, when Al finally gets his freaking what's coming to him, his friend leaves. He's
Books
out
it.
of there. He's not taking responsibility, even though he's the one that told him to do all of this. He's
Yeah.
the one that told him to burn the body and not tell anyone. Just go through with your wedding. It's totally fine. And that was wrong. That was totally wrong.
Well, it's interesting,
But he's not
too.
going to take responsibility.
It's interesting too. He didn't even bother to ask about details. I don't know if you noticed
Yeah,
that. So
no,
he
he's
jumps
just
right
like-
to.
Okay.
He jumps right to. Oh, okay. Hey, we're gonna figure it out. You're good, man. You're
It's
good.
fine.
You're good. Well, and that it's interesting you bring that up because I actually think about that at the ending too, because he is very clearly distraught after what happened. I mean,
Yeah,
I
look,
feel like
he just
anyone
killed
would be.
someone.
Just killed someone, you know?
How he killed her.
Yeah,
That was-
that's a
Oh,
messed up
that's-
scene.
yeah.
It makes me think that perhaps after the night of the incident with Nina, maybe he woke up the next morning and was doing the same thing, being like, "Oh my gosh,
What did I do?
I messed up. Oh my gosh. Oh, my career's over. My this, and then someone swooped in. Maybe not him specifically, but it seems like a lot of people enabled him to be like, hey, nope, you didn't do anything wrong. This is not you. You know, people wanting to be supportive. However, I don't know. You gotta take these things seriously. You know what I mean? I would hate to think about my father, my brother, a friend, a close friend of mine coming to me being like, hey, this happened, I'm getting these charges. That would be awful, and I'd want to still love them through this process, but it would be in the process of going to the police.
Yes, and being like, you need to.
You gotta fix
You need
this.
to do the right thing.
You gotta fix
You need
this.
to go to the police. You need to do all this stuff. You need to go. You need to own up to it, and you need to not just make excuses and say, I'm a nice guy.
Yeah, you can't.
Oh,
We need to end this video.
Elmo's getting.
It's time to end this video because she's getting too frustrated. I think we've outcovered it all.
I think so.
I'll just end the video with, because I think the main thing being critiqued about all of our society with everything is consent. We need to teach consent. That's not ingrained in our brains for some reason. Because it's not, again, like you were saying, it kills the mood to stop and get consent first, but like,
But it actually doesn't.
it doesn't.
It actually doesn't.
It really doesn't.
That's a lie. If you think that like kills the mood, that's a lie that
that's
you've been telling
bull
yourself.
crap.
That's a lie that romantic comedies and movies told you that you've been listening to your entire
Absolutely.
life. So stop
Absolutely.
and listen to each other.
Well, because here's the thing. Even as a married couple, you need consent.
Yes.
You need consent. We both need to give consent.
That process never stops.
You never
You're
stop.
never going to stop doing that.
You never should stop with the whole consent thing, because yeah, that's probably another can of worms that you could open with sexual assault within a relationship. But so
Yeah.
consent.
A lot of issues are addressed in this movie that I think are just addressed very well. Oh, it's Mr. Noodle.
Or is that Mr. Noodle's brother, Mr. Noodle? I think it's Mr. Noodle's brother.
It's Mr.
Noodle.
Noodle's brother, Mr. Noodle.
Yeah, because he doesn't got a beard.
Cute. Yeah, this movie just addresses a lot of problems in a very good way, and not in a way that's pat, you're a woman, we hear your problems. Because that happens very often too, where they listen to the problem, but then they're like, oh, since you're a woman, oh.
Well, Emerald Fennell, she is a woman. It's
Yeah,
because
so
a woman wrote and directed
It's because
this movie.
a woman wrote the movie. You could very clearly tell that this was written by a woman and not by a man that's like, oh, let's make them feel better about their problems. This was very clearly a woman that was like, let's tell the stories of what's actually happening.
Yeah.
Because it makes it a lot more relatable and realistic, so you can actually understand where these people are coming from when these stories happen.
Truth.
So, yeah.
Preach. And that's why we think Promising Young Woman should win Best Picture. Big thanks to my special guest, who is also my special wife. My other wife, I don't bring on the show that often.
No, we keep her in the closet.
We keep her in the closet.
He doesn't have a special wife. I'm the one and only. In case anyone needed that
No.
clarified.
Out of all my wives, you're the best one.
Stop.
I'm not afraid to admit it. You're my favorite.
What is your things that you say at the end of your video?
Comment.
Comment, like, subscribe. Bye-bye. I didn't know if you said anything after that. Oh, write a comment in the comment section. That's why do you think this should win Best Picture? What did you like about the movie? What did you not like about the movie? Because, I would like to hear different perspectives on this as well. It's interesting.
Bye.